Welcome to the channel, everyone. Today's a sunny Thursday. I think it's May 12th. Could be the 11th, but I think it's the 12th. But today we're gonna still got the Cedar Log. We had Dave Boyd came on Tuesday, and we had a great time. And he gave us a few tips, and he videoed. I had my video camera running, but like in the middle of it, I realized it really wasn't going to work. Both of us filming, so we're just going to let Dave edit and do what he wants to do with the video, and then we'll just continue on from here. But I still got the Cedar Log on there, and I kind of stopped and during that on Tuesday because I really didn't know what I wanted to do, because we want to make some 4x4s, but there's a little, if you can see in the center, and there's a little punky wood at the pith, and the pith on the one end is a little higher in the center than over here. It's more lower, and it's going to be kind of hard to get a 4x4, so I'm going to just make some 5/4 boards, and then we'll see on the next log if I can get a 4x4 or two. It's kind of hard to tell how the center of the pith is over there, if it's a little rotten or not, but we'll know as we get into that log. But we're going to do some 5/4 boards here. I got everything set up, but glad you can join us. And I'm not sure when that video with Dave's going to come out, but we're just going to continue on. I got a couple cedar logs, and the very first video I made with the Woodland Mills was with the cedar log, and it was a beautiful log. And on that video I gave some of the medicinal values and a little story behind it, how that the content of that video came together. And I'm not sure how many watched that video that may be watching this video, so I'll do a little recapture some of the content of, because I think it was important, but it was unique because I had a question for quite a few years, because me and my wife Eliza, we do medicinal herbs, and we have a certified kitchen, and we do some herbal teas and tinctures, as well as some vegetable products. And we got a tea known as Ozark Cold and Flu, and one of the ingredients is a juniper berry. And I always had this question because I come up from north. I lived born and raised in Pittsburgh for 38 years, and I moved south to Alabama when Elise and I got married, and then we moved to Arkansas. And there's a lot of cedar trees around here, but as far as the junipers that I'm familiar with, they're not. I don't see a whole lot around here. And I've been having this question that I've asked a few people, but I never got a clear answer, is can you interchange the juniper berries that I'm familiar with, like from the Fitzers, or even like a blue rug juniper? They're skyrockets, but we really don't get the berries from the skyrockets, but there's just different varieties of junipers. And can we interchange those juniper berries with the berries on the cedar tree? And because is the cedar tree in the juniper family? It seems like it is. And can we interchange the berries? And I always had that question, and I've asked it to a few people, and I never got the answer. And I should have just Googled it and researched it a little better, but I didn't. And then, as I mentioned before, everybody who watches sawmill videos, I'm sure, is familiar with Nathan Elliott from Out of the Woods. I don't know Nathan, but I've watched a lot of his videos. But every time he saws up an eastern red cedar, or mostly every time, he says he gets flogged in the comments about the people saying it's not, we call it a juniper tree. It's a juniper tree, and why do you call it an eastern red cedar? And I always thought that was interesting, because I've had this same question, and so it got me to researching it, because people are getting confused with the eastern red cedar, and some people are calling it a juniper, which I'm kind of hoping it's in the juniper family so I can interchange the berries. And so when I did the research, I found out that the eastern red cedar is in the juniper family, and the Latin name is like Virginianus juniper. I did this on the first video, and I put it, and I'm going to have to do it again on this video, is I had to put in the caption the exact spelling and wording of the Latin, because I can't just remember it from memory. But it's in the juniper family. Well, once again, I didn't charge up my earpiece, and my cordless microphone, and the battery went dead. And as I was taking a break and looking at it, because I knew it stopped running, I saw exactly where it stopped running, and so I'm going to try to edit that part out and continue on here, and then we'll go back, because I got a different log on the sawmill, because I finished sawing up the the cant that I had on there, and 5/4 boards over here. So the log's a little different because I had to do a little editing. Find out, because it's interesting that I don't think I mentioned this when the sound went out, but that the berry on the eastern red cedar is about half the size of the juniper berries that we used to harvest. And you know, I think it was from a Fisher type juniper. There's like many different types, and you know, a Fisher is sort of like a big bush that maybe get anywhere from 3 to 6 feet tall, maybe even a little bit bigger. And then, but there's other types that have the berries, but those berries were almost twice the size of what the juniper, the eastern red cedar berries are. But then when I finally did the research, because we had an order for our cold and flu formula, and I had every ingredient, but we ran out of sassafras because we put sassafras root in, and we have a little section on the outside of the fence of our garden that has about 4 or 5 sassafras trees. So you know, I go over there and just start digging close, you know, a little, maybe 10 feet away from the tree, until it's easy to identify. You just, once you start smelling root beer, then you know you've hit the sassafras root. And so I had to go harvest some of that root, and there's about 200 yards that way was a juniper tree with a lot of berries on, and so I harvested the berries and I dried them. You know, you need to dry them for the teas, and so I dried them overnight in a dryer, and I dried the sassafras, and I was able to put together the formula of our, there's about 10 ingredients in our cold and flu formula, but I was able to interchange the juniper berry, or see, I'm getting even mixed up now, the eastern red cedar berry with the juniper berries that we collected down in Alabama. You know, I thought that was interesting of how the same question I had with the juniper berries and the cedar berries, red cedar berries, was sort of the thing that Nathan went into, and I thought, well, that's a perfect thing to put together for my first video, because I found a nice cedar. I got it milled over, stacked under the shed over here, and I mean, it was beautiful. I put some water on it, and it really had some yellow, had some bark inclusions, and you know, it was pretty. I really liked that cedar boards. But today we're milling up some other cedars, and I've already finished the log that you saw before to 5/4, and this one I'm going to still try to get that 4x4 out of it. We need a couple 4x4s. I don't know if I can or not. If not, I'll just continue with the 5/4 boards. And then there's a lot of rot in this bigger. This was actually the base of these 2 logs. It split and you know, I cut just a little above the crotch, but I'm just going to slab this at either 8/4 or 9/4. Probably 8/4. I'm not sure. I might change my mind, but anyways, I need to bring this part in, and then we're just going to continue on with this, and hopefully I can get things straight as I edit things out, and that this microphone works, you know, just as well. And I'm going to get the other ones charged up, because I really wanted to see. They went dead before. I really wanted to see how they work with the machine running and me talking. If you can hear me talking over the sawmill running, but I guess we'll have to figure that out on the next video. But thanks for joining us, and we're going to continue on. not sure what all Dave's gonna film, but one of the things we come up with trying to figure out how to keep this log from hitting these log stops is we notice that these metal apparatuses or whatever they are, when they flip over, you know, I think these are designed to try to keep the log from, you know, going over any obstacles. And we noticed that there was, let's see, this hole right here. And so we're thinking that we put a screw in there at whatever length and work it where it'll hit. It's got this metal piece of metal that comes across that'll be able to hit, and if we have that bolt and nut at the right length, it'll be able to hit this, and it'll keep these up enough, which should roll the log over. We haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to try that pretty soon. Not today. I got a little piece of wood here that I just lay on the track, and it's enough to roll it over for now. I got to figure out how to put this back on.